President Buhari engages Economic Advisory Council, asks CBN to discourage food importation financing.
For now, the yields used to be about 2 tons per hectare. Now, with high yield seeds and the support of the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Federal government refutes claims of likely scarcity. 21. Plus, second wave of COVID-19. Correspondent on citizens' awareness, dangers and prevention. It's a beautiful Tuesday evening in the Federal Capital Territory. I'm Ian Ray John. Good evening. Dotun Oguyemi reads with me tonight from Lagos, and Asmao Habibu Shagari will be in Sokoto. Thanks for joining us. President Muhammadu Buhari has given strong assurances that his administration will keep a keen eye on food inflation of the new year and directed the Central Bank of Nigeria to shut its doors against all those importing food into the country. This was at the 5th regular meeting with members of the Presidential Economic Advisory Council held virtually. State House correspondent Damu Sambo has the details.
President Muhammadu Buhari noted with pride that already about 7 states in the country are producing all the rice required by Nigerians. As he puts it, during the closed-door engagement, we must eat what we produce. The president wondered where the country would have found itself with a devastating economic crisis brought about by COVID-19 if Nigeria had not embraced agriculture. Going back to the land, he insists, is the surest way out and re-emphasize the place of agriculture in government's efforts at restoring the economy, saying, however, that measures must be put in place to curtail inflation. He said the federal government will continue to encourage the people to go back to the land so as not to lose the opportunity of making their lives more meaningful, profitable and sustainable. The meeting, which was for a review of and reflections on the global and domestic economy the outgoing year, was attended by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo as well as Ministers of Finance and that of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. Participants noted the sharp deterioration in international economic environment and its impact on Nigeria's continuing but fragile economic recovery. Nigeria's economic growth, they say, continues to be constrained by obvious challenges, including infrastructural deficits and limited resources for government financing, and therefore the need to make the private sector the primary source of investment rather than government. The meeting also reviewed progress made towards structural reforms in response to the economic crisis, including the institution of the Economic Sustainability Plan, the changes in electricity tariff and fuel pricing regime, the partial reopening of land borders, the movement towards unification of exchange rates, as well as budgetary reforms. And to prepare the country for the challenges ahead, the meeting agreed on the necessity for macroeconomic stability towards creating certainty and rebuilding investor confidence in the economy. It also emphasized the need to deepen structural reforms initiated by the administration as a basis for stimulating investments from domestic and international sources with a view to raising productivity in key economic sectors. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the federal government has refuted claims making the rounds that the country will face scarcity of maize in 2021 as forecast by agro-processors due to inadequate support to growers of the produce. The federal government and the Central Bank of Nigeria believe that maize farmers are producing more than enough to meet local demands. Agriculture correspondent Musa Baba Aliyu has the details.
Nigeria is one of the world's largest producers and consumers of maize, also known as corn. Research reveals that maize is the most important food crop on high demand in Nigeria, followed by rice and wheat. Apart from human consumption of the crop, most of it is used in agriculture as animal and fish feeds, as well as in the production of starch and syrup. Available statistics by the IITA, Central Bank of Nigeria, and farmers associations indicate that annually Nigerian farmers produce about 33 million metric tons of maize.
Before now, the yields used to be about 2 tons per hectare. Now, with high yield seeds and the support of the Central Bank of Nigeria, smallholder farmers across the country are able to produce at least 4 tons per hectare to improve their yield and at the end of the day improve profitability for the farmers.
The agro-processors, especially poultry feed producers, are complaining over the high cost and scarcity of the commodity.
We produced 20 million tons last year, and the actual demand for all the maize processors, maize human consumption is just 8 million tons.
While refuting claims of the scarcity, farmers under the Anchor Growers program said there are enough maize in the country and there are also plans to commence dry season farming this year. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Kano State is realigning its economic priorities in tandem with current realities on ground, which will provide succor for investment through the establishment of economic city to create an enabling environment for commercial activities to thrive. Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, who was on a fact-finding visit to the construction site of Kano New Economic City, expressed satisfaction with the ongoing work, describing it as alternative avenue that will place Kano on a global map of economic giants. Abdullahi Mustafa reports.
The Kano Economic City project is a public-private partnership initiative to improve the economic fortunes of Kano State. It also aims at creating a conducive environment for doing business by decongesting the existing markets. After failed attempts to actualize the project during the last 12 years of inception, some sections of the facility are nearing completion.
This market, Kano Economic City, as of today, when completed, it will be the best economic city in this country.
The nearly completed section is expected to house pharmaceutical business. When completed, Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje stated regulatory agencies will be stationed in the market to ensure effective control.
To ensure that only what is required, what the government has approved, will be sold in this place.
The pharmaceutical section, according to the project engineer, will be ready for business by the end of January 2021. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
And in Bauchi State, in continuation with his urban and rural expansion plan, Governor Bala Muhammad again dedicated over 7 billion naira for the construction of 3 new rural roads in Waji and Bogoro local government areas of Bauchi State. Muhammad Ibn Muhammad reports that former Senate President David Mark performed the flag off of the construction work.
With a completion period of 24 dry months, the roads consist of 13.5 kilometers Warjigoram Road, 11.2 kilometers Ogoro-Lusa Road, and 11.6 Poi Tapshin Road.
That we embark on both urban and interstate road construction and rehabilitation in all the senatorial districts of the state. The completed and ongoing road infrastructure testify to our resolve. Bauchi Metropolis is undergoing an unprecedented accelerated urban renewal program.
When you see a governor in charge of a state like Bauchi that has only limited resources performing so much, you'll begin to wonder where it's getting the fund. I've tried to find out. I've asked him, how does he get the fund to be able to perform as much as he has?
Totaling 36.3 kilometers when completed. These roads are expected to open up and provide more links to rural communities and neighboring states.
Roads that are so dear to our people and the rural communities. And by constructing these roads, usually you open up the entire state.
So far, the government of Bala Muhammad has completed the construction of 10 new urban and rural roads within 19 months, while 19 others are ongoing. In Bauchi, Mahmoud Ibn Muhammad, NTA News.
And on election matters, the ECOWAS Election Observation Mission in the Niger Republic has declared the December 27th presidential and legislative elections as orderly, peaceful and professionally conducted. The head of mission and former Nigeria Vice President Mohamed Namadi Sambo, who presented the ECOWAS position, expressed satisfaction with steps and measures taken by the government to ensure security of the electoral process and the safety of electoral officials, candidates, voters and observers during the election. While calling for improvement on the shortcoming observed during the election, the mission urged key players to respect and protect the democratic principles guiding the electoral process.
The mission invites the institutions in charge of the elections to publish the results of the election within the legal deadlines and in accordance with the provisions of the Electoral Code. It appeals political parties and candidates to recourse to legal and jurisdictional institutions in case of election-related disputes and to refrain from declaring unofficial results.
The mission, however, condoled with the government and people of Niger Republic over the death of 34 civilians and 7 soldiers who lost their lives in the terrorist attack, which occurred during the electoral campaign period. ECOWAS deployed a total of 100 long-term and short-term observers for the elections. And back home, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has admitted in evidence some documents listing the educational certificates submitted by the Edo State Governor, Godwin Obaseki, to contest the September 2020 governorship election. The documents tendered in evidence were listed in the nomination form, which the governor submitted to INEC. The presiding judge, Justice Ahmed Mohammed, overruled the objections by the council to Governor Obaseki and the PDP. The court ruled that the admissibility of Form EC9 tendered by the 2 plaintiffs, APC and William Sedobo, was crucial to the case. In the pre-election matter, the plaintiffs are praying the court to set aside the participation of Governor Obaseki, alleging the existence of some irregularities in his educational certificates. The matter has been adjourned to Wednesday, 30th December 2020. Coalition of civil society organizations has appealed to sponsors fueling tensions and insecurity across the country to desist in the interest of national growth and development. The coalition commends government at all levels for proactive approach in sustaining the onslaught against banditry, terrorism and other heinous crimes. Ngozi Technical has details.
Owing to Nigeria's struggle with series of security challenges in the recent times, this group of non-governmental organizations opine that for the effort to be more productive, it is necessary for their financiers to stop sponsoring the criminals and channel such resources into meaningful developmental projects in line with the federal government's objective.
Let it be on record that in all fair-minded judgment and assessment, Nigeria as a nation is very fortunate to have the current service chiefs at this trying moment of our country's existence. Consequently, on the basis of our country's corporate existence, peace and security, we as a coalition hereby soundly pass a vote of confidence on the heads of security in Nigeria.
The group applauds President Muhammadu Buhari and calls for synergy among all Nigerians in order to win the fight against insurgency in Abuja. Ngozi Silva Technical, NTA News.
And still on security, as part of ongoing efforts to address security challenges bedeviling Kaduna State, about 270 special constabulary and community policing scheme have completed their training at the Police College, Kaduna. Haruna Mohammed reports that they are to serve their various communities as special constables.
For over the years, Kaduna State have been grappling with insecurity which continued to retard its progress. Civil strife, kidnapping and banditry have remained major security challenges militating against the state. Worried by this trend, Kaduna State government trained more than 200 youths to complement the security.
We are sending them back to their various local governments so that they'll be able to partner with the police officers, the DPOs, so that they'll be able to be put at the practical aspects of the policy.
Governor Nasir El-Rufai represented expressed his administration's commitment in securing the state.
You should know that you have a role to play. Your role is to help the police and other security agencies in enhancing internal security of our states.
Those undergone 4 weeks training were drawn from 17 local government areas. Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
Meanwhile, air interdiction missions being conducted by the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole have continued to deal decisive blows on terrorist elements in the northeast of the country. The latest of this was achieved yesterday in the heart of the Sambisa forest in Borno State. The airstrike, which was executed employing a force package of Nigerian Air Force fighter jets, was carried out after a series of intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance missions revealed that the terrorists responsible for recent attacks in the southern part of Borno and northern part of Adamawa State had originated from the location. Accordingly, the NAF attack aircraft engaged the target area in successive passes, leading to the destruction of some of their structures and logistics stores, including a suspected anti-aircraft gun station as the terrorists fired at the NAF aircraft. Several insurgents were also neutralized in the process. Now, the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, condemns the killings and destruction of property in southern Kaduna and Adamawa states. The minister, who received with shock the news of the terrorist attacks in Pemish, Chibok local government area and 4 other communities in Hawul local government area in southern Borno and Garkida in Adamawa state, describes the attacks as tragic and barbaric. She commiserates with the government and people of Borno State, especially the families of victims of the sad incident. The minister says arrangements are being made to send relief materials to the victims to cushion the effect of the attacks. If you just joined us, you're watching the network news on NTA. Ahead, second wave of COVID-19, dangers, citizens' awareness and prevention. Details in a bit. To stay. Thank you for staying. Let's talk about the pandemic now. Adherence to all non-pharmaceutical protocols remain the vaccine to combating COVID-19. This was the position of religious leaders as they intensify efforts to curtail the spread.
Ilyasu Abdul-Mumini is an Islamic cleric who believes that those who do not obey COVID-19 safety protocols are not patriotic and obedient to constituted authorities placed by God to guide the affairs of men. With the spike in cases and nations grappling with the second wave, religious leaders are advocating adherence to all non-pharmaceutical safety protocols. This, they say, remains critical to drastically reducing the spread of the disease.
Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has coined the similitude in the authentic hadith that at-tuhuru shatrul iman, that being clean and pure is half of faith.
This thing is about life, and it is only when you are alive you can serve God. It is only when they are alive that they can be your member.
As critical players in religious affairs, they say religious organizations must encourage social distancing as their members come in to worship. They advise Nigerians to shun lackadaisical attitude towards the disease and report suspicious symptoms of the disease to appropriate authorities. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
Similarly, as part of measures to contain the second wave of coronavirus pandemic, the Yobe State Committee on the Prevention and Control of COVID-19 came up with 16-point resolutions aimed at curtailing the spread of the virus among the people. These measures include reduction in the number of passengers by 50% in public transportation, discouragement in social and religious gatherings, delaying in school resumption, as well as a directive for civil servants on level 12 and below to work from home for 5 weeks. Yunisand Suleiman reports.
As COVID-19 resurgence is being experienced in Yobe State, the Committee on Prevention and Spread of the Disease has come out with 6-point resolutions to curtail its effect in the second wave. The State Deputy Governor E.D. Bordogubana announced that all government employees on grade level 12 and below are to work from home from the next 5 weeks, in addition to banning religious and social gatherings.
The committee further wishes to draw the attention of the general public on the rising cases of the disease during the second phase, affecting the entire country and the world in general. In view of the above, the committee calls on all to adhere strictly to the prevention and control measures.
The state has also taken another approach in terms of integrating the prevention and control measures with other health interventions or other health activities, primary health care, and so on and so forth. That way, people will now understand that it's not a different thing, but then it's something that is related to the general things that are used to in terms of the health prevention and control measures.
While thanking the public once again for the anticipated understanding and cooperation, the committee enjoined all to be highly responsible in order to curtail the negative impact of the pandemic. In Damaturu, Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
And from Uyo, residents have commended efforts of government with the reinstated COVID-19 preventive measures aimed at curtailing the recent spike. Clement Berkaway reports.
Within the past 2 weeks, Nigeria has recorded not less than 10,000 cases of COVID-19 in what many described as the second wave of the pandemic. This has raised concern among stakeholders, with government at the federal and state levels bringing out new measures to deal with the situation. In Akwa Ibom State, government has cancelled all events requiring large crowd.
Use of face masks remains compulsory in all public buildings, offices, public places, in tricycles, buses, cars, churches, mosques, markets, hotels, schools, etc.
Nigerians in Uyo say complying with the COVID-19 protocols is better than another lockdown.
A lockdown will cause more harm than good, because when you're repairing things in the economy after the lockdown, it will take you 20 years to repair what you locked down the country for just 1 month.
For now, the only way to arrest the rising cases of COVID-19, according to the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, is to avoid all non-essential travels, observe physical distancing, wearing a face mask always, and avoid mass gatherings, particularly during this Yuletide. In Uyo, Clement Barkui,
NTA News.
Nigeria is not just at risk of losing the gains already recorded towards mitigating the spread of COVID-19 in the last 10 months, but also of losing more lives to the virus due to flagrant disregard for COVID-19 protocols in many parts of the country. Correspondent Lydia Samson reports that medical practitioners are calling for more caution and the need for citizens to take responsibility to simply practice the simple steps of hand washing, use of alcohol-based hand sanitizers, and physical distancing to curb further spread.
The second wave of COVID-19 is raging, and for me, it's about taking responsibility and even going a step further to check people even before I interview them. Please, can I take your temperature? So what do you do to be safe?
I observe all the protocols. I work with my sanitizer, and I'm always on my marks.
I'm wearing my mask and then always checking my temperature. The second wave of the COVID-19 is here and is real.
These people belong to the group of Nigerians taking responsibility. Ironically, the super spreaders cynically remain convinced that COVID-19 is not real, and as a result, they walk the streets without face masks. Some, on the other hand, only carry the masks in their handbags or pockets, and when accosted, they quickly wear it just to blend in.
We're just lucky that initial wave did not affect us as much, but this second wave is really affecting the number of deaths are there.
COVID is real. It's not meant to move around with our masks.
He said, since assessing the hope offered by the arrival of the vaccine is still far from reach, Nigerians must imbibe laid down COVID-19 protocols with all diligence, as it is now a matter of life and death. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
Time now to join Dotun in Lagos for our next set of reports. Hello, Dotun.
Thank you, Ian Rai. The number of COVID-19 infected persons has been on a steady rise since Nigeria officially declared a second wave of the dreaded disease. Adeola Komiakere reports on strategies in place to manage the pandemic.
The spike in number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 and resultant deaths prompted the pronouncement by the federal government that Nigeria has entered the second wave of the coronavirus pandemic. This is evidently so, with over 10,000 new cases recorded in the space of 1 month, a situation that prompted federal and state authorities to put in place new safety guidelines and intensified enforcement of existing protocols to curb further spread of the disease, especially during the festive period. The growing number of cases has resulted in the reopening of isolation and treatment centers across the country.
We should be proactive. We should not be reactive so that we can easily nip this in the bud as the cases are rising.
In Lagos, for instance, public servants from grade level 14 and below have been ordered to work from home, while religious centers are only permitted 50% of their normal capacities. The imposition of 20,000 naira fine by state government for non-use of the face mask is also one of the stringent measures to ensure compliance with the COVID-19 protocols. Only recently, 12 public facilities, including an event center, were shut for violating the safety guidelines.
We must be responsible to our families and our colleagues at work. And until COVID is eradicated from this earth, we are going to have to live with COVID to protect lives, to protect our families, and to protect our economies.
Monitoring and studies show that the number of infected persons is rising in local governments and states, indicating an upsurge in community transmission. Figures released by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control as at 27th December 2020 indicate that more persons have tested positive to COVID-19, with confirmed cases at 84,414, while 1,254 deaths have so far been recorded. And as Nigerians await the arrival of a COVID-19 vaccine, experts are advocating a strong synergy between government and the citizens, including implementation of spontaneous strategies. In Lagos, Adeola Komiake, NTA News.
And away from the pandemic, the infiltration of adulterated lubricants into the Nigerian market has become worrisome, with its attendant consequences on the end users and the nation's economy. To this end, the federal government is beefing up its surveillance at the Lagos axis, leading to more arrests and punitive measures against perpetrators of the illegal act. Abolade Salami reports.
For more than 8 years, Shakiru Idris has been an auto mechanic who repairs different kinds of cars. My interaction with him to find out if he is aware of adulterated lubricants in the market brought about this revelation.
We know when we tell customer that this car we want him to buy, and some usually say the price is too high, but okay, go and buy it yourself, not the roadside oil, because the roadside oil is very bad.
with many mechanics out there like Shakiru and car owners who patronize roadside sellers. The chances for the production of substandard lubricants from stores like this have increased, with its attendant consequences on vehicles and generators.
The ones we have seen were evacuating right away, but we are suspecting that all these warehouses are having these products. And we are going to arrange in such a way, in fact, we will even go to the extent of who are the owners of these buildings. The owners too will have to be liable. There's no way you rent out a place and then illegal activities are going on and you may claim ignorance. No, this time we are not going to accept that.
With the massive production and distribution of adulterated lubricants, how is the Auto Spare Parts and Machinery Association complementing the efforts of the federal government to curb the unwholesome acts?
As people that's faking the product, and we are not in support of it. We make a report to police, and there's something like this we stopped, and the people doing this should pack out of this plaza by the end of this month.
The strike force team against counterfeit products nabbed 2 suspects while some shops were sealed. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
And that's it from here. Network News continues after the break.
As the countdown to the new year begins, we here at NTA cannot help but look back on a challenging year that has been filled with many lessons. The most important of all being a renewed gratitude for the continuous support of our sponsors, our clients, government at all levels, corporate bodies, advertisers, religious bodies, civil society groups, political parties, businesses and manufacturers, and you, the viewers. As we cross the finish line together, the celebration of new beginnings would simply be incomplete without you there. And we look forward to sharing the coming year with you. Here's to an excellent year ahead.
Hotspur ended 2020 in a slump, but will their fortunes change when they take on Leeds United in their first game of 2021 on Saturday? It's Tottenham versus Leeds United on the Premier League Live, showing on the NTA network from 1 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up in association with Goal.com.
Welcome back. Following the federal government's directive on extension of the registration of National Identity Number registration for SIM cards, the National Identity Management Commission Office has become a human hive. Correspondent Ekemini Williams reports.
Expecting on this key to be printed for you. Come and join this key here, please.
The world as you know it today is grappling with what has been termed as a second wave of COVID-19. To these people, contracting the COVID-19 virus is half as important as getting registered and securing their national identity number. For many here, the fear of being barred from making phone calls and receiving them supersedes the fear of contracting COVID-19.
I was there last week for registration, so people were much. They were really much, so the extent that they gave us number, appointment date, which is today, 29. And we are here, the 29 people, we have not yet registered.
My kids were here by 4 o'clock a.m. And when it was around that 6, we entered. It's not that we enter easily with the crowd, the way they opened the gates, where everybody rushed in. So went by number and I have registered my children.
Meanwhile, efforts to reach the officials of the National Identity Management Commission proved futile as some of the officials on ground declined speaking.
While a few are speaking to a few others who have actually, completed their registration, and they, according to them, it is an orderly process in there. The only restraint is the crowd, and a few others have said maybe that this registration should be brought to different locations to enable the process to be much faster.
In Abuja, Ekemini Williams, NTA.
With With effect from December 30, 2020, registration for the National Identity Number, NIN, will be based on booking system. A statement by the head Corporate Communications National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, Kayode Adegoke, indicates that the decision, which is intended to keep the second wave of COVID-19 in check, will require applicants to visit any of the NIMC offices closest to them during stipulated business hours from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. for bookings. The statement adds that personal information will be collected for the sole purpose of scheduling an enrollment appointment, and intending enrollees are not to include any personal information other than what is required by the booking register. Once admitted into the office, a number issuing queue management system will be in place to ensure orderliness and strict adherence to COVID-19 protocols. In other news, entrenching a paradigm shift to reorientate Nigerian youths for leadership positions has been suggested to put Nigeria on the higher pedestal of global development. For the quest to achieve this and more in Nigeria's national development led to the birth of the Goke Adegoroye Foundation, the brainchild of a technocrat, Dr. Goke Adegoroye. Doris Olumoko has details of the launch of the foundation in Akure.
The goal of the Goke Adegoroye Foundation is to, among other things, build a critical mass of effective successor generation of youths who, having been nurtured and mentored, would have acquired the confidence and courage to serve as the intellectual, moral, and visionary compass of the nation in political, public service, and private sector leadership and ownership.
The real problem is actually the character and integrity of the leaders. I do not mean political alone. It's at all levels.
Today need total orientation. To give expression to this, 10 indigent students were given automatic scholarships at the event. The event was also an avenue for the celebration of Christmas and the 70th birthday anniversary of the founder, Dr. Goke Adegoroye, as guests were treated to Mexican and local cuisines. In Akure, Doris Olumoko, NTA News.
River State Governor Nyesom Wike has assured the people of Opobo Nkoro local government area that the Andoni Opobo Unity Road will be completed by the first quarter of 2021. The governor was speaking at the 150th anniversary of Opobo Kingdom. Ogedi Unyekuri completes the report.
150 years anniversary commemorates the day King Jaja, chiefs and families left their temporary settlement at Elem in Nkoro and arrived on a virgin land and formally proclaimed a new city-state of Opobo. After a century and a half, the peace treaty entered with their neighboring Andoni communities aimed at maintaining peace and good neighborliness has remained unbroken by both parties. Governor Wike lauded the amenable for promoting the rich heritage of the people. He promised that his administration would ensure that the Andoni Opobo Unity Road is completed in the first quarter of 2021.
I made a promise to the people of Opobo. I give God the glory that we're almost there. We believe by January ending that we'll come back and commission that road.
Amenable of Opobo, King Dandesin Jaja says, up till 1930s, Opobo was second to Lagos in terms of volume of international trade in the country.
We are also hoping that Opobo will be opened up for the fullest exploitation of our ecosystem.
The celebration featured boat regatta in Opobo. Ogedi Unyekuri, NTA News.
In a smile in Sokoto for more on Network News. Smile, it's over to you.
Good evening and welcome to Sokoto. A 1.5 million gallon semi-urban water scheme provided by Sokoto State Government has been inaugurated. Elato Abdullahi reports that the project established at Wamako Local Government cost the state government 420 million naira. The report.
The project is one of the 17 being completed out of 21 executed by the current administration, with reticulation of 7 kilometers pipelines to guarantee adequate clean water supply to the people.
To the glory of God. Amen.
The national chairman of the PDP also flagged off the dualization of the Tashar Ilela to Achida Junction, including a 9-span bridge. The project will boost the socio-economic activities of the people of the state as it linked the Eastern Senatorial District and the Niger Republic with Sokoto.
Therefore, we cannot overemphasize the importance of this road.
The delegation inspected completed ultra-modern diagnostic medical center.
If all our governors are going to think the way you are thinking, Nigeria will be a different place.
Also inspected by the PDP national leadership was the ongoing construction of 950 beds capacity Sokoto State University Teaching Hospital, the site of the ongoing construction of Government Girls Science Academy, Kasarawa, and the General Hospital, Wamako, inherited from the previous administration and re-awarded for completion. In Sokoto, Dalat Abdullahi, NTA News.
Raising the communication gap, trust and building confidence between police and community leaders have been described as panacea bringing an end to the lingering insecurity in Nigeria. This came to the fore at a sensitization campaign on community policing organized by Sokoto State Police Command. Dalat Abdullahi again reports.
With the idea of community policing working hand in hand with the conventional police, things are expected to change for the better. The Nigerian Police Force Sokoto Command has joined its counterpart in the country towards sensitizing community leaders with a view to providing solution to the lingering insecurity in the state.
The most serious crime that is facing the whole nation, the developing nation, is kidnapping and rape. And everybody must wake up to solve this problem.
And that has been a policy in the National Assembly and is now being implemented.
Sokoto State Police Community Relations Committee says the committee is always proactive toward ensuring security in the state. Guest speaker at the event, Deputy Inspector General of Police retired Hashimu Argungu, challenged police to ensure training and retraining of its personnel to enhance security, build confidence and trust among police and the community leaders.
It's a collective job, members of the public, to put heads together and work toward eradicating crimes.
Other speakers called on the need to fill the gap of communication, trust and confidence to ensure crime-free society. Traditional leaders at the event pledged to pass the information to their subjects for the success of the program. In Sokoto, Dalat Abdullahi, NTA News.
And that's it from here. The news will continue after these messages. Please stay with us.
Know that 35% of every girl child and women are raped on daily basis. Some are killed in the process. Some take their lives in shame. Others remain emotionally dead for life. It is sad. This culture is not ours, definitely not African. How did we allow bad culture to infiltrate and take over? Even if you lack fear for the law, what of fear of God? And you, why do you cover up rape acts when it happens? Remember, a problem shared is a problem half solved. Never cover any rape act because a rapist is a murderer. It could be you or your loved ones next. Women must be treated like the prize gem they are. Say no to rape.
President Muhammadu Buhari warmly felicitates with new World Boxing Federation International Super Featherweight Champion Ridwan Oyekola. the Scorpion, joining all Nigerians to celebrate the historical feat after 57 years. In a statement, the president affirms that Oyekola's victory over an Argentine fighter, Lucas Montesino, brought more glory to the country in a sport where another Nigerian, Anthony Joshua, consistently blazes the trail, and joining all youths to diligently follow their passion to the point of global recognition and celebration. President Buhari, who commended the local organizing committee for the WBF title match, believes the new super featherweight champion realized his dream after many years of focus and discipline, urging more commitment to sustain his place in history after the late Dick Tiger. The president equally commends the local organizing committee for the WBF title match, which held in Nigeria. Time now for sports, and Gift George will bring us details.
In a rescheduled Week 1 Nigerian Professional Football League match, transmitted live on the NTA network on Tuesday evening, Enyimba beat Abia Warriors by a lone goal in the Aba Derby. Sadiq up against Olorunlekojo, sends the goalkeeper the wrong way. Action continues in the NPFL on Wednesday as Rivers United plays host to Rangers International in Port Harcourt. The governing bodies of tech ball, curling and bobsled and skeleton federations have reacted to their granting of full recognition by the Nigerian Olympic Committee at its recent annual general meeting, which was held virtually.
We promise that in the years to come, we want to make this sport to be competitive like football and basketball. In another development, the technical committee of the Nigerian Volleyball Federation has suspended the forthcoming campaign of the national under-18 female team and the under-19 male team, earlier scheduled to commence on the 27th of December 2020 in Kaduna. The development, according to the technical chairman, Martin Malandi, is due to the second phase of COVID-19, which is spreading across the country. Nigeria's only individual Olympic gold medalist, Chioma Ajunwa, says sports and education is very key in the all-round development of the girl child, and this her foundation will be hoping to achieve. She made this known as she celebrated the festive season with some widows in Lagos.
We are going to unveil a plan, education for the girl's child, and we need to pick them, those that are qualified.
Ogun State Sports Writers Association has organized an award ceremony for personalities who have contributed to the development of sports in the state and the nation at large. Mohammed Adebowale in Abeokuta reports that the late ex-international footballer Mudashiru Lawal was also honored with a posthumous icon award.
For us to move the sports sector forward, definitely we need the experience, because to the best of our knowledge, we know they have been on ground for years.
Members of the Ogun Swan were also charged to restore the lost glory of the body. With Sports Update, Gift George, NTA News.
And report just regional says Nigeria's first professor of criminology, Professor Femi Odekunle, has passed on. He was aged 77. A member of the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption, Professor Odekunle passed on after a brief illness. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed utmost shock at the news of the demise of Professor Femi Odekunle, a member of the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption. The president described Professor Odekunle as a valued friend and a towering intellectual giant with an impeccable knowledge of his chosen academic field, criminology, and in such others as governance and administration. President Buhari said his death is very saddening, noting his lasting contributions, charisma, and sense of humor. Let's continue to fight against rape and rapists. We can bring it to an end if we work together. That's Network News tonight. Many thanks for watching. Do have a good night.